is I am going to be running you through 5 pirouette tips to get a clean parallel rotation. So specifically for your jazz pirouette, there's something that I really want you to focus on, and that's the push off. So when you're doing your prep, your 1 and your 2, you have that back heel lifted, right? A lot of dancers from here just slowly lift up to a passe, but that's really gonna deter the turn from having momentum and power. What I want you to think about is coming out to this prep, finding an actual push off of the ground, kind of like a rocket. You're flying up into that passe, so there's kind of a snap there. So that very first tip is to really come up to the passe and not just gradually rise up. I have found over my many years that the slower you get into a turn and the more piecey it is, meaning push off, arms, eyes, abs, the harder the turn gets. But when everything comes up in like a spring, like a compact piece, it tends to work out better. So tip number 1 is to make sure that that push off has a springy feeling to it, okay? So we're here, and lift. My second tip for you is to make sure that your arms precede the rest of your body. So oftentimes I'll see dancers go 1 and 2, they'll start rotating and then they'll get their arms into their circle. But your arms inform a lot of how your turn is gonna go. So what I want you to focus on is getting your arms there before the rest of your body. Take a look at this. Before I even push off into my turn, my arms are already in that circle position, okay? They are already wrists below the elbows, elbows below the shoulder, everything is lifted and they're strong. I have my shoulders equally balanced. It's not one higher than the other. I have my elbows equally balanced. I have them close together, making sure they're not separate. Your arms precede the turn. Let's try it together. 1 and 2. Go, arms there, up and out. Try it again. 6, 7, 8. This is 1. This is 2. Get your arms there, up, hold. Good. Your arms have to be as strong as you want the turn to be, which is pretty dang strong, okay? Dancers, number 3 is a common tip, but it is so important, and that's activating your abs and your glutes, okay? Instead of just telling you to squeeze your abs, I wanna give you a practical exercise that can help you achieve that. If you join me on the ground, a lot of times dancers are doing crunches. To be honest, this really is not getting into the abdominal area that we need it to. What I want you to focus on are dead bugs. So you're gonna put your feet out to the floor. You're gonna connect your low back to the floor. There should be no space underneath your low back in the ground. Squish your low back to the floor. You're gonna take one leg to tabletop and then extend the other. Touch, touch. Keep your low back on the floor, touch, touch. You might be shaking, I am. And touch, touch. That exercise, do about 50 of those, maybe take a break in between, 25 rest, 25. That exercise gets into your lower abdominals. Your lower abdominals is the muscle group and area that you're looking at to squeeze in your rotations. A lot of times dancers kind of they just turn. I did that turn right now without squeezing. Sure, I can get around, but if you're looking to push to 2, 3, 4, 5 rotations, this is your powerhouse right here. This is where you keep balance and control on that axis. So I really want you to focus on activating the low abs. Everything is tight right here. So try those dead bug exercises before you do your rotations, okay? Dancers, number 4 is to get out of your head. I have taught so many dancers over the years that have incredible turn potential, but they're stopping themselves because their mind is telling them they cannot do it. What I want you to focus on is your body. Get out of your head. When you're here and you're like, oh gosh, I'm gonna fall out of this turn, I know it, this is so hard, I can't do it. Guess what? You have already now convinced your body you can't do what you wanted to do. But if you get out of your mind, focus on your body. Okay, we're focusing on strong arms, We're focusing on a high releve in the back, and I'm pushing off into a spring. Your mind can only think of one thing at a time. So if you're filling your mind with technical cues, all of that self-doubt will get quieter. It's not that it won't be there, but it will get quieter and quieter and quieter because you're shifting your mind's focus onto the positive, and you're shifting your mind's focus onto practical things that you can do, okay? So if you find yourself doubting yourself in this prep, or you're in your turn, you're about to do 2 turns and you put your foot down because your mind says, I can't do double turns. I want you to fill that with squeeze my abs tighter, bring my arms in tighter, get that second rotation. So we're focusing on technical cues and less focus on that loud self-doubt, okay? My last tip for you dancers is consistency. Turns do not come overnight. It's something that you want to practice for weeks and months and maybe even years. And I don't mean that in a discouraging way, but what I do mean is by doing 30 minutes a week, that might not be enough for you to get that second rotation. It might be enough to get a clean single, but if you want those 2s, those 3s, those 4s, I recommend consistency. And that doesn't mean just doing this for 12 hours in a row, okay? That's also not helpful. What I mean is dynamic consistency. So maybe you take this class. You have all of these tips from me that you're gonna take, and then you're going to watch the Pirouette boot camp. And then maybe you're gonna take a jazz class or jazz routine in the app that also has pirouettes in it. Maybe you pop over to the ballet basics playlist and you do the ballet pirouettes, because guess what? Your ballet pirouettes are going to set you up for your jazz pirouettes as well. What I mean by dynamic consistency is constantly practicing the muscle memory of a clean turn, but in different ways. So throughout your week, if your pirouette is a really big priority for you, kind of cherry pick classes from the app that have pirouettes being taught in different ways, just so that many hours throughout the week, your body is getting used to being in that pirouette position. It's getting used to activating the right muscles. It's getting used to that spring, that spot, that engagement, that confidence, right? So we're adding in consistency as we learn this one movement. You got this.